One of the things that a lot of men struggle with is erectile dysfunction. And some of it, in my opinion, comes from porn.
When we're away from those natural masculine and feminine traits of like, I'm gonna pursue you, I'm gonna come after you, I'm gonna go towards you, that will change a woman. It's when you are more fully online and actualized, you're gonna see real quickly, does this relationship still have legs or is it done?
The dude puts the ring on her, and as soon as he puts the ring on, she completely transforms and is not what he married.
The flip side of that too, obviously,
Yes.
ladies. We have to shift how we think about relationships on its head because it is an end goal right now. All right, y'all. Welcome to the Love Wins edition of this podcast where Preston and I open up the container on conversations that we have around sex, relationship, love, partnership, and parenthood.
Yes, yes, and more yes. And today's conversation is the difference between marrying the one and becoming the one.
Yeah, so many people are so focused on, I've got to find my one. I've got to find that person that completes me. That's my soulmate. That's my twin flame. That makes me feel all the things that we forget about the work, the journey, the grace of actually being a partner to ourselves first.
Yeah, and you know, some people listening to this are in relationships right now. And they did that very thing. They looked for the one to complete themselves instead of necessarily becoming the one. And one of the interesting gripes, and there's like all these funny memes, but there's like truth in the funny.
Yeah.
There's these memes of, or meme videos of like, it says like before marriage. And then it's like a woman and she's like done up and she's in shape and all these things. And then it goes like, the dude puts the ring on her, and as soon as he puts the ring on, she completely transforms and is not what he married. And, you know, it's like
There's a flip side of that too, obviously,
Yes.
ladies.
It's like funny, but it's not funny because that's actually a really big fear. We have a friend,
Yes.
a mutual friend who's a teacher in the space. He's in his 50s, and his mom got extremely obese after she married his dad and had a few kids.
Yeah.
And his story for why he is still not married to this day is he's always checking to make sure that the woman's not going to pull the wool out
Right.
and be something else the moment she gets the ring on.
Well, and I think this goes into this larger idea of, you know, we think, oh, as soon as I find my person, everything will be great. And we always laugh and joke to all of our single friends. We're like, that's when the work begins.
Yeah.
Like the real work, the deep work, the work where you're like, oh my gosh, I've never met this edge within myself because I've never been faced with this much intimacy. I've never been faced with this much on the line. I've never been face to face with someone I care so much about and yet am so afraid to let see me. And that is when the true work begins. And I think, again, we have to shift how we think about relationships on its head because it is an end goal right now. You know, where a lot of people, they just want the great relationship or how do we get back to how it used to be? And we're resistant to what this season is here to teach us. And I think especially, you know, if you have kids, if you've been married for a while like we have, you're going to go through seasons, and those seasons are not there to kill you and annihilate you. They are there to initiate you into a deeper level of self-understanding, of self-compassion,
Yes.
and understanding and compassion for your partner.
Yes. And I think that also, all of that also just points to continuing to date your person.
Yes.
And, you know, a part of dating someone, right? When you first start dating someone, you're putting your best foot forward, right? It's the effort to still show up. One, for self first, but also, hey, I want to be sexy for you too, right? I want to be in shape for you too. I want to eat well and not just bury my face in Oreos for you too.
Yeah.
For our longevity, for my vitality, for how my skin looks. Like there is something to be said about continuing to put your best foot forward and becoming the one / revealing the one within ourselves so that we can still date our partners from a space of curiosity and wonder and interest, right? Like there's one of the things that a lot of men struggle with is erectile dysfunction. And some of it, in my opinion, comes from the lack of electricity and polarity in their relationships.
Totally.
And also their maybe addiction, maybe I'm using that word too lightly, to pornography.
Yeah.
And because all that's in the space, their penises don't necessarily get as hard and haven't over time.
Yeah.
And
well, it's because the reality of sex is much different than the pornography of sex. Right.
But also there's something to be said, and not to do too much TMI between us, but that's never been an issue between us.
Right.
And I know exactly why. There's a multitude of reasons, and a part of it is, one, I don't let pornography into my space because to me that can veer me off of the magic of our connection.
Well, if you think about it, and this is no shame for anybody that watches porn, but if you think about it, it comes down to value, right? So where are we placing our value on our partner? Like, do I value you as a being that could leave at any time? Like, yes, we're married, but you could leave at any time. Do I value you and say, you know what? I want to make sure I'm showing up for this person because I value them, right? And vice versa. When it comes to sex, do I value this person's body, the way that we interact, what that interaction produces? Do I value that so much that I keep it sacred and special so that it remains sacred and special so that I continue to look forward to that? And if we're not valuing it, even if it's unconscious, if we're looking at porn, if we're, our energy is leaking around here and there, our partner becomes well, yeah, they're there.
Yes.
Yeah, they're okay. And then we start to fall off. We start to do things. We start to normalize things. And it's why long-term relationships, long-term monogamy, when it's unconscious, becomes very unsexy because there isn't that spark of aliveness. There isn't that spark of sacredness and curiosity and newness. And it's not even novelty, but it's that thing of I get that I'm with a sovereign, sacred human and that this person could leave at any time, could change at any time. And am I aware to the magnitude of the magic of this being?
Yes.
Because if I'm complacent, then everything kind of becomes ho-hum, everything's just good, and we become roommates.
There's two things happening here. One, the first thing that popped in my head is relations and relating to your partner is like a game of pickleball or tennis, right? Pickleball would be stupid if there wasn't somebody on the other end hitting it back, right?
And it's like racquetball.
Yeah, it's just dumb. You're just like, oh!
Against the wall.
There
is a sport called racquetball that does that.
Yeah, but it's stupid, right? You hit it and then no one hits it back. It loses its excitement and interest if there's no one on the other side to hit it back. And so it does take two to tango. And this is a multifaceted, multi-layered conversation because it's not one person, quote unquote, at fault. There's a multitude of things. We spoke at a men's event recently, and at that event, I challenged one of the guys' leadership, right? Because let's go straight down the middle. Even if your wife did just say, screw it, I'm going to get fat. I don't care, right? Even if that's a fact, it doesn't change that you gave up. It doesn't change that you haven't spoken into her in such a way that she feels inspired and loved and held and contained in such a way that she wants to go to the next level. And so to me, this is why it's so intricate, these
detailed
conversations.
Yeah.
Because it's not just one thing or another.
No, everything is touching everything. And that's such a great point you bring because there is something to the male's biological drive to hunt, to pursue, to go after, right? And a woman's biological drive to receive what that male hunts and goes after and then makes something with it, amplify it, right? And so when we're away from those natural masculine and feminine traits of I'm going to pursue you, I'm going to come after you, I'm going to go towards you, that will change a woman. If you come at her like that, she's like, whoo, hold on, everything shifts in her constitution and she starts to either receive it or she realizes she can't receive it and that creates a whole other list of conversations we can have. But when we are in those primal roles, it does shift something, and we do show up differently to our relationships. And that's why you and I both always say it only takes one person to change the entire dynamic of the partnership.
Facts.
And a lot of people come to us, whether it be the woman or the man, or if you're in a same-sex partnership, one person will come and say, well, they don't want to do the work. It's just me. I'm the elevated one. I'm the one in personal development. It's just me. They don't want to do the work. And it's like, well, great. Let's start there. Because that's all we can do anyways, is work on ourselves.
Facts.
And when we change how we show up in our body, we then change the dynamic in the relationship. We can shift the polarity. We can shift the leadership. We can open ourselves to receive more. We can show up more powerfully. And in that instance, when you are more fully online and actualized, you're going to see real quickly, does this relationship still have legs, or is it done? And you've got to be willing to go to your fullest self first to find that out.
Facts. Oof. Juicy conversation. We will continue this over the next few podcasts and see what wants to come forward. But if anything we shared today resonated, called something out of you, if you're watching this somewhere where you can leave a comment, please do. Regardless, hit that share button and send it to somebody who you think would receive value from it. We love and appreciate each and every one of you, and are very clear that these conversations get to keep going further and further by way of us as a community. So if anything resonated, send it to 5-6 people. And if you have not subscribed and reviewed this podcast, please do so soon. We love you, we thank you, and we'll see you next time.